think in the past 4 years or so, you and
5 years.
5 years, you and some collaborators put together GPL and ventured into power generation in Nigeria. Tell us how you got involved in that and what GPL is all about.
While I was in government, it went back to while I was in government. I felt that Nigeria needed to have a blueprint for development, and that the blueprint would have to include infrastructure development. In terms of the infrastructure development, that power was number one, electric power development. I'm sure that every Nigerian, most Nigerians will know these statistics that Nigeria has a certain installed capacity of about 6,000 megawatts, but is only able to produce under 3,000 megawatts of power. But the country really needs more than 10,000 megawatts, and the president has said so, and the president wants for such power level to be reached by the year 2007. So now, when in 2000, right after this new government took over, and the president wanted some cash program to accelerate power development, one of the first things they wanted to do was to have emergency power plant for Abuja. Emergency power project is different from independent power project in the sense that the emergency is short time under contract to government or to whatever entity, and it's usually more expensive. And it's usually in whichever method that you deliver the power, because electricity is electricity is electricity. So when government called for emergency power, and it was a project, and it was to be in Abuja, and it could only be fueled by diesel, because Abuja doesn't have gas pipeline. Abuja doesn't have Great River for hydro, and in any case you couldn't really do emergency, because emergency is fast. You have to have start the plant, and in about 2 or 3 months you have finished. So we bid for it, myself and some friends. We joined together. My company is Geometric Power, their own company is Renatec, so we had a joint venture, and we went and bid for the project, and luckily we were able to get 15 megawatts, and another company, a Scottish firm, won 15 megawatts. So we went at it and we built this power plant. But because we were just all Nigerians, we became the first indigenous power company to build a complete power plant and then supply power to NEPA by contract.
To NEPA?
All the other companies had been foreign, like Agip or Shell and so on. And that helped us to create our name in the country. And so when that contract was coming to an end, we made a request of government. We said, okay, that if the country is going to privatize and really truly going to be become or work towards stabilizing power supply, that independent power production has to begin to come into effect. But that independent power production cannot be by the way it's done now, whereby you produce and you supply to NEPA, so by contract. That it is better that companies begin to have maybe merchant kind of power supply. You build power plants, you supply to industries, and by so doing, you can guarantee the industry's supply, because the whole thing is about availability. In some places, NEPA's availability, as much as NEPA tries, is only about 20% availability, and that companies cannot run with that. And then the companies now have to produce their own power. They become power producers. And on the average, the cost of producing the power can be quite high, some of them over 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So the idea was that we would have merchant power delivery, and we deliver power to industries at less than half of what it costs them to produce power now. And at the same time, we deliver the power at nearly 100% reliability, if not 100% reliability. So that was the proposal to federal government. And because this government has begun to think more about private sector involvement in everything, they accepted, the president supported it. And so that's how we got started with the next project, which is now in Aba. And we chose Aba for two reasons. Aba has the pipeline for gas. That's the number one determinant, because we wanted to do it with gas instead of diesel. Gas is much cheaper, and Nigeria really needs to reduce flaring of gas. Number two is that Aba is an entrepreneurial town. So we wanted to provide power to such a place, and we believe that they would want to pay because they need them. That's it's all about economics. So that's the project that we're engaged in. We're building about 120 megawatt power plant now.
For over a century now, Nigerians have been migrating from Nigeria to other lands in search of education, business, or pleasure, or a combination of all three. However, the life of Nigerians abroad is not always as glamorous as folklore would have it. For Nigerians abroad to survive, virtually every one of us have had to suffer the indignity of menial jobs and have had to experience the humiliation of discrimination based on one factor or another. Virtually every Nigerian that I know abroad wishes to have at home wherever he or she is chasing abroad. Most Nigerians that I know abroad long to come home, but quite often it remains just that, a longing. Nonetheless, the fact is that the contributions and impact of Nigerians abroad is quite significant at home. There is virtually no city or village in Nigeria in which the contributions of Nigerians abroad cannot be felt. That's our show for this week. Until next week, I'm Ugoji. I wish you justice, peace, and liberty. May you become all that you're destined to be.